I haven't touched WoW in ages. Yeah, I haven't touched WoW in forever either. I'm probably never touching it again, to be perfectly honest. They've written themselves into a terrible hole. Although I think the thing that kind of bugs me about WoW is that even if the story gets better, the story is still bad in a big chunk of it. How do you remedy that? You can't. It happened. There's nothing you can do. It happened. And dumb happened with it, and they killed my favorite character. So I'm like, not only did the story go bad, but it was terrible, and they killed a character I loved in one of the bad parts. So it was like a double whammy of They practically retcon most of the Shadowlands at this point. Yeah, but it still happened. I wasn't hyped for Shadowlands. I wasn't keen on Battle for Azeroth. I thought Warlords of Draenor was going to be better, but it wasn't. I was really excited to see a lot of old characters, but like in a new way. And they really dropped the ball in that by killing like most of them in the introductory chapter, which is really fucked up. Or not most of them. They killed a bunch of them, and I was like, what the fuck is this bad? And then there was a really bad content drought in Warlords as well. And then, what was it after that? Legion, I wasn't hyped for, but I ended up getting hyped. I didn't play on release because I did not like Warlords of Draenor. Or did I play on release? I can't remember. I remember coming back later. I think I might have played on release and then stopped and then played some more once the story was really getting good. And the story was fucking good in Legion. And I was like, I fucking knew it! And they fucking... Okay, so there's these like light dudes. There's these light guys in WoW. And I've always thought they're kind of sussy. These like space goat people worship these light guys. And I was like, I don't know. Because they're kind of like an opposite to like the Dark Void guys. And the Dark Void guys are asshole and want to take over everything. So I was like, why the fuck am I gonna trust the light guys? Because I feel like they have the same goal, but just a different way of doing it. And I was validated! It only took, 12 years! Anyway, Legion was pretty great, and I was like, okay, well, what's next? And they started setting up for this other X-Pack called Battle for Azeroth, and I was a little worried about it because of what direction they were taking it. What direction they were taking the story in didn't make sense to me, if that means anything. For how the story was going, it felt like the world was more unified than ever. So it didn't make sense that we were suddenly at war again. I was like, what? Huh? Because of like a couple people, they're like, no, we're at war again. And I'm like, okay, I guess. No, but that was the thing. The tree burning and all of that stuff didn't make sense. It was bad. It was very bad. It was terrible. It didn't make any sense from a story standpoint. Miss Dead Lady didn't make any sense from a story standpoint. The fact that she was even the leader of the Horde didn't make any sense from a story standpoint. Vol'jin named her leader, even though he didn't even like her nor trust her very much. I thought he would have given it to our Blood Elf homie, dude, because they got along really well, actually. But alas, some dipshit in the creative writing department, in the story department, wanted to stick their dick in her cold pussy, and so they made her the main, like, person. Like, I'm not even joking about that. That's, like, literally what was going on, and it's disappointing. That person's gone, by the way. That person doesn't work at Blizzard anymore, by the way. Shadowlands explained why. No, Shadowlands. Anything that came after Legion is kind of it was already kind of going down the drain in Warlords of Draenor. The story was just getting worse and worse and worse because this person was trying to, like, push this narrative of Miss Dead Lady being the chosen one. I just walked into a crash out. You did. I feel ways about World of Warcraft. Which is why I'm never gonna play it again. They ruined the story so bad that I can't enjoy it anymore. It's just too terrible. It's like if you started a fantasy series and it slowly morphed into like survival romance or something. It's not what I signed up for, right? It's stuff like that where I'd be like very confused. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But nah, wow. And I love how people came to me because they knew how much I liked Warcraft, and they'd be like, "Oh, they brought Metzen back," and I'm like, "Metzen can't save this. Metzen can't wave a magic wand, make time go back to before the story went to shit, and rewrite it. Like they would literally have to turn back time. It happened. You can't pretend it didn't happen because it happened unless they literally." Actually retcon it. They do have time travel dragons and we just start over again. That would be the only way I would get back into WoW, is if they just start over. Burn it all! Burn Azeroth like the world tree instead. Just start the over. I feel ways. I haven't kept up with Blizz or Warcraft since Battle for Azeroth, or no, Shadowlands. So I played the beginning of Battle for Azeroth. Hated the direction they were taking it in, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it. And then Shadowlands came out, and everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be better, Lay. It's gonna be this. Look, it's the old characters again. And like in my head, I was like, is this another Warlords of Draenor situation again? And it was a Warlords of Draenor situation. Did they do anything with those old characters? Not really. And it was bad, and I didn't like it. The factions could have been better done. That was actually cool. Warcraft shot itself in the foot by getting rid of that really cool weapon system that they developed in Legion, but they got rid of it because they're pussies. Artifact weapons were such a great thing, and they got rid of it. That was the other thing that I was sad that Legion was ending, because they were getting rid of the artifact weapons, and I really wanted them to keep that. For once, I wanted WoW to keep something, but they're a bunch of weirdos. You do not need to change your game that much every single fucking X-Pack. I hate it. I hate it so much. It was such a cool system. And they're like, oh wow, you really like this, and you like being able to do like these achievements to unlock new skins for it. And we got all these like nifty stuff you have to do for it. And ooh, we even gave you a class specific like hard mode dungeon to do, like a single player like boss to kill. Wow. Yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore because it's work. I miss Legion. Legion was great. Legion was a great X-Pack. The raids were also pretty fun, and it was fun. Legion was a fun X-Pack. I really like Lord Thromar a lot. That's why I was so certain that he was gonna be the next war chief if, like, when something happened to Vol'jin, I was like, oh no! And, like, it was like that scene where he's, like, picking someone to rule. I thought it was gonna be Lord Thromar, because Lord Thromar deserves it, dude. And I was like, yeah, Lord Thromar. Vol'jin's my favorite character in all of WoW. After that, it's Broxigar, but Vol'jin's like my favorite. So I was really sad when they killed him in the most unceremonious way possible. This man had survived so much. Sorry, I'm just thinking there's a book with Vol'jin in it, and it's so good. It talks about what happened to Vol'jin after his assassination attempt and stuff. And it was so wonderful when you get to the end and you kick Garish's ass, and Vol'jin's like, oh cool, Thrall, you're here now. Now you can be war chief. And Thrall's like, no, I see the war chief in front of me right here. And you're like, yeah! Go Vol'jin! And it's so great, and I was so happy. I was celebrating. I was so happy. I was like, yay, that's my war chief. Pug, 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 pug. And yeah, and then they just unceremoniously kill him after he went through so much. There was so much amazing stuff in WoW that it is so, it's a fucking knife to my heart how the story evolved. It's like they are have stabbed me in my guts. Like, that's how it feels. It's such a betrayal. I feel so betrayed as someone who was following so closely along with everything. It was like legitimately, like people talk about their special interest. WoW was like one of my special interests. And that's been like taken from me. And I haven't really found anything that replaces how I felt about WoW. And that makes me sad because I loved being excited about learning new lore and new WoW history and stuff like that. I used to get so hype about book releases and stuff like this, and I'd eat them up voraciously, and I don't have anything like that. Not in the same way. Not something that's just purely for my entertainment. I do, streaming and VTubing is my special hobby, or I guess 3D VTubing, I should say. I know nothing about live 2D, but like, that's kind of my special hobby now, I guess. But it's less about entertaining myself and more about I want to be good at my job. You know what I mean? I would happily rant with you anytime. But that's the thing, Ayasu. There's nothing to rant about. There's nothing new for me. WoW lore stopped in Shadowlands. So it died. It's dead. It's gone. I do not get, like, as excited as I used to at all. And in fact, talking about it usually just makes me sad. Let's go back to Blender, where I can do things that actually make me happy, instead of being sad about WoW.